Hey, everybody. Hi, kids. Do you like violence? So, this is my second time recording this video. The first time, my storage space ran out, and that's because my settings get reset every time I restart my phone sometimes or whatever. So, with that being said, my video just cut off after 70 minutes, and then I wasn't able to basically finish the thought or the video because I have to do this all in one take. And maybe that's for the best because that was kind of a dry run. I don't really plan out my videos at the moment. I just kind of, especially if it's a rant, I just kind of go on my way and rant and let it run until I feel like I've said enough and then just kind of cut it. Usually it goes around 20 minutes or so. But today's topic is not only toxicity on Facebook, but toxicity in Facebook communities and everything like that inside of Facebook. And just our overall in general throughout social media has been, destroyed, all but destroyed over the years. But also I want to talk about something real quick. My videos have been getting blacklisted on the algorithm, especially videos about topics that YouTube does not want to talk to me about. As far as I'm concerned, YouTube is no longer a safe format for any content creator to talk about or discuss certain issues. Unless you are a big corporate brand or one of their big money makers on YouTube, you cannot talk about certain things like Gaza or the Epstein list or Trump, even Trump, without being, or Elon Musk or anything like that, without being blacklisted. Because you can, for example, the Elon Musk video that I made about the salute or whatever he was doing at that event that he claimed wasn't a salute. If you go and look at that video, the two videos that's sandwiched between got 500 to 1,000 views. That video, despite me posting and getting consistently 1,000 views, only got 9 views. And, that's kind of what's happened to my shorts too. I started trying to drive traffic to my Gaza video by linking those to the shorts and stuff like that, which all the shorts that I did that to got nowhere near the amount of views that the other shorts I was doing were getting. And that's just all of social media now. As far as I'm concerned, YouTube is no longer a safe platform, along with Facebook, Twitter, or X, and Instagram and all these other ones. Because obviously on Facebook, the same thing happens because every time I posted videos that got blacklisted on YouTube, or shadow banned, as it were, I got shadow banned on Facebook too. So they're all working on the same agenda. They're all working toward the same censorship goals right now. And of course, Facebook is obvious because Mark Zuckerberg was pictured with, Mein King Trump, and he was one of the billionaires who was backing the Trump administration. So of course, his platform is corrupted. But YouTube, I really didn't see YouTube CEOs there with him. Maybe I'm mistaken, but apparently YouTube is on the Trump train, or YouTube's on the administration because the exact same censorship that is applied through other social media about topics is being applied through YouTube right now, as far as I could tell. But anyways, I digress. So getting into the Facebook thing. So something that's happened over the years to me on Facebook, maybe it's happened to you. I don't know if you're a Facebook user, but and has been oddly silent in the national media and just media in general. You never really hear it talked about or mentioned is the toxicity of Facebook groups, the toxicity of certain communities on Facebook, and overall the toxicity in the arts is what I'm kind of talking about today, because that has affected me the most as an artist and a person who runs a business or tries to run an art business through social media. That is what happens. That's what mostly my experience has been. But I've seen it over the years happen to many different people from many different backgrounds. This whole basically prevalence of people building and using social media, Facebook groups to create these little hierarchies and abusive practices within the hierarchies of these groups. I've made several videos on my channel a long time ago. This happened to me about 6-7 years ago, a while back, of the horrible experience I had with one art group called Artists Trying to Make a Living Creating Art, and the fallout and the craziness and everything. I took screenshots and all that stuff, and I posted it on my YouTube channel as a point of reference right then, and that's because people were watching, and it was kind of like creating a war in the group of people who agreed and disagreed with this fucking group that was there. Something else I need to watch out for in my videos is cussing, and especially smoking on camera is not allowed, I guess, but the cussing part is definitely something that I'm trying to eradicate systematically, things that are causing my videos to be blacklisted. As far as I could tell, nothing changed between the way I did videos except for the topics. So I'm only left to believe that the topics are being blacklisted across the YouTube algorithm, which would mean that they're, once again, serving the will of the Trump administration and the censorship clause. At least for independent creators, but millionaires and corporate channels and stuff like that they want to suck up to, which they've always done, but they're especially doing it as far as specific topics about Trump and the administration. But anyways, going back to the Facebook thing, the Facebook toxic atmosphere, not only among groups, but just, among users is just so ridiculously high, and it always has been. And if you go and look at the videos I made about the artists creating, trying to make a living creating art group, and what happened to me through that group, that was, like I said, at least 6 years ago. And it only got worse over time. And as far as I could tell, it's still going on to this day. Now, I know that these things have been reported by users. I know that this kind of stuff has been, talked about, surely, through different videos and stuff like that, and what has happened to people in various groups, and the abuses that they've faced through group moderators and group whatever, and people using this system to manipulate, people, and even, take advantage of young people. And I'm sure it's happened more than a dozen, more than a handful of times, but yet, ironically, it was never mentioned in the news or anything like that, which, if Facebook was a smaller platform, I wouldn't be surprised by that. But I mean, it's kind of, for example, what's going on with Roblox right now. I had no earthly idea over the last years and years that Roblox basically has been ran and controlled, or basically overtaken by sex offenders looking for young victims. And if you know anybody or young who uses Roblox and they're not being moderated or watched, you better get on that, because trust me, Roblox is not keeping the children safe on their community, which blew my mind because I've never played or dealt with Roblox. I've just kind of seen it in passing. I didn't even know it was that old of a thing, because it just seemed like it started yesterday, but it's been around forever now. And the interesting thing about the Roblox thing is that they've actually went and actively tried to stop people who were trying to track down the sex offenders inside of their game, and to protect the community, because the company overall was not doing anything to moderate or help defend children against these predators. But that's a topic for another time. But anyways, going into that segue and back into the Facebook, that's just like with their moderation, their content moderation, or their moderation of specifically groups. And groups is one of those unique things on Facebook where apparently once you get inside the group, or once you create a group, that group owner basically owns the platform. And at least at one point in time, it was almost like, once the group was created, that became a site within a site. So basically, the groups became these hiding places for predators and all this other shit that wouldn't normally happen across the Facebook profiles. And it still continues to this day. And, I've known so many people in alternative communities, alternative lifestyle communities, from gay to trans, and I still do. Gay people, trans people, I've known people in witchcraft and like black magic and stuff like that. And they have had some very, very horrible experiences within these groups. And those groups were used to basically manipulate and take advantage of people, not necessarily minors, which has happened, but also just take advantage of, people in general and abuse them and abuse their power. But what happened with me, though, in that art group, I don't feel, and years after the fact, I've realized that it's not something that is exclusive to one artist or one art group. It is something that happens across social media with artists. I refer to them as art pimps, not only art pimps, but art, whores, for lack of a better term, because, they're basically, social media prostitutes. And they'll do anything and whatever to, outside of sexual intercourse, of course, but they will basically fuck everybody in any other way they possibly can. And it's so prevalent in the arts. And I've noticed too with several other artists, they don't handle things maturely. They don't handle things like grown-ups when it comes to maybe having an issue with somebody. If they're intimidated by your intelligence or your ability to have an argument or something like that, they won't talk to you personally, but they will spread rumors throughout mutual friends or mutual artists to ruin your reputation. And sometimes you will never even hear about it or know about it or whatever the case may be. I know that coincidentally I deleted and blocked an artist who was currently I'm homeless and in a homeless situation. And this artist, I reached out to them for help financially in the regards of like literally $10 to buy something to eat. And they gave me the 10 and, they said, oh, just keep it because I've been in that spot. I was almost homeless or whatever, what the fuck ever people say to think they can relate to actual homelessness or struggle. But then this person and me had kind of a falling out over that because I asked them for help again, and I felt like they were being a fucking dickhead. And they've been kind of a successful artist. And because of that, I felt like they were looking down on me and other artists, and they never really particularly helped share my art. But they would always engage with their art content. And this person came along later in life. This incident only happened a couple of months back. But I noticed that this artist exhibited and I noticed that with artists, how they play the system and game the system and use, friendship and or kindness. And it's very sociopathic and narcissistic, the way they utilize the system to gain friends and, to gain followers and whatever, just only to be, damn near psychopath levels of manipulative. And I dare say that. And I've seen that with so many artists, especially. But people online on digital media, period. It's a social media disorder, but it's also a social media disorder that is very prevalent on Facebook. And you just have to understand, for an independent artist out there trying to get up and not having a lot of money, you are literally just fucked across social media nowadays. And especially considering, too, that there's this whole movement of sexuality and art, or sexuality and independent business, that has blown up across social media, too. It's something you notice in the arts where it's like a really attractive girl starts posting pictures of herself in very lewd clothing and skimpy clothing and stuff like this. And she's an artist, but then all of a sudden it's like, you start seeing more and more of those pictures, and it's like, okay, well, is this your art, or are you an erotic model, or, well, no, I'm not in any of that. And then, of course, comes the bitching about what they're attracting through those posts. Every girl I ever seen, and I've seen girls transition to this, and it's been kind of crazy, like female artists, where it's like, you could tell that the art's not really, clicking, and then all of a sudden you start seeing them posting pictures that you never thought you would see them posting, like their breasts very, very prominent in the picture, and them wearing very tight, form-fitting clothes and stuff like that, and it's like, but they never outright go out and say, I'm trying to do this. You know what I mean? And they still, then, comes, of course, the people who are, misogynist or whatever. I mean, they see these posts and they think, oh, well, this is, and I mean, no offense to the girls who do this, but, come on, let's be fair. You look, and a lot of them, they look like streetwalkers. I mean, they look like they're, trying to sell something and other than art. And then they got people who come on who are like, well, hey, are you selling something other than art? Because I'll pay you this for this. And they're very offended by that. And they're like very taken aback. And they're like, oh, I'm an artist, God damn it. And it's like, okay, well, granted, but you've been posting a lot more and more less art, but these pictures. And it's understandable. Trust me. I'm not arguing against it. I understand it. But, in the same turn, someone like me, who's a cis white male, who's not traditionally attractive in any means, shapes, or form, is fighting an endless uphill battle with these kind of content creators or artists or whatever who are sexually attractive women. And it's like, they could blow my shit out of the water at any point in time. And it's like, all they have to do is post these thought level pictures and their engagement goes through the roof. And it's just, it blows up. And I'm like, God damn, I can't compare with that. I can't compete with that. And it's just a crazy thing. And a lot of women who ain't artists and stuff like that, they want any kind of attention toward any kind of thing. They all of a sudden start posting pictures where they look a lot more, they wear a lot more makeup and they, it's an obvious thing, man. But just for someone like me, it's like I'm fighting an endless battle against that shit. And it's like, I cannot, because all I really got is my art. All I really got is my content. All I really got is that to make it, and outside of that, I have to pay for fucking engagement on all social media platforms to get any kind of goddamn notifications or any kind of fucking eyes on my art. And it just blows my mind. And it just seems like, and really, in the past, it's made me give up on art. That's why I'm not necessarily focused on producing art for online communities or anything like that anymore, or doing any of that kind of stuff for whatever. I mean, for the most part, if my stuff is successful, like TikTok or YouTube, I mean, that's great. But I'm not holding my breath over that shit, because I know that I don't have what other creators have as far as clickbait titles and stuff like this. I could do those things, but I'm just not in the position to do that right now, being homeless and stuff like that and not having the proper equipment. I'm just really not in the place to do that yet. But as soon as I get that turned around, though, I will be probably launching a whole new YouTube channel that is going to be nothing but that for monetization. And it's going to be nothing but trying to create, everything to feed back into the system, this infinite loop of growing a channel into a monetizable channel. But anyways, back to Facebook. Yeah, the toxicity there, especially among artists, is just. And one time, bearing in mind, I was told, given a reason for this, especially when I was going through the shit with that art group. Somebody made the comment that, you're really dealing with big personalities out there. These big, artists have big personalities. So this is understandable. And it's like, it ain't got nothing to do with fucking personality. This has all to do with mentality, just mental mindset, and what you are willing to do to other human beings to get successful. Ali Sadiq is one of my biggest comedic loves right now. His series that he does, oh God, it just popped out of my head. The Domino Effect. Amazing comedy series that is a must watch for anybody into comedy, but it's a whole new level of comedy special. But in his last one, the last part of that, he talks about that basically he has a point when he gets toward the end of the show where he's talking about, African Americans, and he's talking about, you are willing to go on social media and videotape somebody going through something horrible of your own race and degrade the overall image of your entire race just to get likes and comments. And it's like, yeah, that's basically where we've gotten to with every race, white, black, other. Um, we are willing to degrade our own people and portray them in the most horrible, light possible just for likes and views. And we're willing to do anything for that now. And it has become a sickness across social media and a danger, a huge danger. And especially on Facebook, with the groups, it's like, especially if a group takes off and becomes very successful and popular, the owners of those groups literally become like power mad and obsessed and stuff like this. And it's like, it's happened so many times over the years and nobody's talking about it. And I can only imagine how many children have been abused through that system, how many murders or potential, self-endings and all this other stuff that may have happened through this system of horribleness on Facebook. But anyways, I think I'm going to end the rant there. If there's anything you could do to help me out financially right now, that would be appreciated. My Cash App and Venmo will be in the description. I'm really kind of struggling here in Raleigh at the moment, but one of the things I have done recently was get registered for a waiting list for low-income housing, but there is no idea how long the wait's going to be, how long the list is going to be, what's going to come my way. There is absolutely no clue. All you can do is just register and hope for the best. They ran out of housing vouchers a long time ago and still haven't gotten any back in. They've ran out of so many other resources that they're not replenishing or redoing or whatever. And so, and that's happening everywhere across the country. And, I think the whole social media thing ties back into that, about anything for clicks and likes and views, and just the overall mentality that brings to our people, our nation. And just how you could see so many people right now walk over dead and dying people in the streets, and people freezing to death and burning alive, and just watch them die and not feel a goddamn thing about it and not care. And in some instances, videotape these people or fuck with these people, which is not a very smart idea. They will kill you. They will hurt you. They will hurt you, and they have nothing to lose. And for some of them, they have a criminal history to where beating you to death in the street or assaulting you beyond measure is no problem. And I've seen it happen plenty of times with me, especially. There's, the other night I had an incident where a bunch of college kids came to the place I was sleeping and screamed at me. And I got up, I jumped up, and I fucking told them. And it was 4 of them versus 1 of me. And they ran away like cowards, because that's what cowards do. And I called them a piece of shit. And I was like, okay, little boys, you want to do something? And they didn't follow through with it. And where I'm at, they had to come find me. It's off the beaten path. So there wasn't any mistakenly being there. And I jumped up and I was like, okay, fuckers, let's go. And I kind of walked behind them down the street. I'm like, fucking come on, dude. Let's fucking go, dude. You want to fuck with somebody helpless? There's 4 of you, 1 of me. Come finish the job. And they wouldn't do anything. And they just kept walking. They ran away. Because they're overall, to do something like that to somebody who's homeless just shows how much of a piece of shit you are. But not only shows you're a piece of shit, but it also shows you're a fucking coward. And you're the same motherfucker who will probably go home and slap his wife or beat his kid or, kick a puppy or harm a little innocent animal because you're a fucking nutless coward. You're not a man, you're a goddamn coward. And you love to pick on people who are disenfranchised. That's what makes you feel big and powerful and tough. And that could go for women too, trust me. I've seen plenty of women out here who wear Gucci and stuff like that. And my man bought me this and my man got me that. And I got all this. And look at me, I could just be an utter fucking bitch. And it's like, you're a fucking sociopathic, narcissistic little piece of shit. And, it's like, for all the people I see, with very wealthy people on a daily basis walking past the carnage in Raleigh, very few times do I see any of them actually do anything, philanthropic with it, or try to help in any way, or do whatever. It's just easier to walk into their cubicles and their ivory towers and ignore the burning fires of the world, which is not going to stop, and it's going to continue to get worse and worse and worse, and it's going to escalate to a point of, violence one day. I'm almost certain. nationwide, because there's so many without, and they're being held down and oppressed, and they're being destroyed systematically, to where it's not going to endure. It's not going to last. And this will not, our current system and government and financial system will not last. This will not endure. And if you don't believe me, go look up videos about it from economists and all these other people who will tell you the same thing. And where I've gotten my, knowledge of this has been from those people. And they're sounding the bells right now that the shit's going off the rails, and nobody's listening, nobody's caring, nobody's paying attention, because we are a placated, kept society. We are animals in cages, and we're kept by the rich, and we're trained. We're trained very well, which goes back to social media and why these groups and why this prevalent mob mentality, especially on Facebook, can take a horrible turn very fast, and why it has led to particularly suicides in the young, is because, it's easy to get these groups, and then these people pile on, and it's like one person starts it, and then all their friends and all the people who agree with them will visibly and constantly verbally destroy people. And you're talking about hundreds of people at a time coming to your page or your social media and being like, you're a piece of shit, I hate you, die, kill yourself, kill yourself, kill yourself. And the mentality of that is just fucking disturbing in general, that our people, our American citizens, think that this is okay to do to another human being. And there's this weird separation online to where what you do online doesn't matter. So therefore, I can do anything online, even sending profane or pornographic pictures of myself to a girl that never solicited this, like dick pics. I can do this, and it has no consequence or action in the real world. That's kind of a whole nother sickness and topic for a later date. But anyways, I'm going to end this video. Thanks for watching. I love you guys. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Please share this video across social media if you can, if you like what I'm saying and you agree with it. And you guys take care. I love you so much, and have a good one.